Well, you know what? I think this is a good transition to the next person that we were going to talk about before we close out. I know Snoop was supposed to come out with an album today called The Algorithm. I don't think it dropped, but I know it made me start thinking about Snoop's catalog altogether. And once again, his album, The Dogfather, celebrates its anniversary today too. But with that being said, what is it? 25 years for The Dogfather?
Yeah, it's a terrible album.
I think The Dogfather. I say this respectfully because I got Doggy Style in my top five or whatnot. I think The Dogfather might be the most disappointing sophomore effort in hip hop history. But he
Yeah,
had a lot going on at the time. But just
yeah.
if we're talking about the music, I think that's probably one of the most disappointing, if not the most disappointing hip hop albums ever. But with that being said, man, are you looking forward to a new Snoop Dogg album when it does drop?
Well, I didn't know how to look forward to it because I love the song that he dropped, but he's just on the hook.
It's
The
interesting,
song's
right?
dope.
Yeah.
It's some Wu Tang shit, Mike. It's like when you buy a Wu Tang album and like the artist who album it is isn't on the song at all, or they just on the hook, and it's like, oh, that's Wu Tang shit. That's what I thought when I heard the record. I'm like, no, record's dope. I like the record a whole lot. Jada Kiss, Jada Kiss turned back into Jada Kiss, Mike.
I
My
think,
real
man,
takeaway.
Snoop. I want to talk about Snoop though for a minute, man. Like, what is Snoop to hip hop? I feel like Snoop is kind of like a George Clinton esque figure in hip hop, where he never left. He's always been here, but it's like we stopped keeping up with the new efforts like a long time ago. He's more of a staple in the culture as opposed to an MC. Because I know he has a position over at Def Jam, so I don't know if his new album's coming out on the Def Jam or whatever. But he has this whole initiative about bringing hip hop back and this and that because he's at Def Jam. That's how the whole Warren G conversation came up. But I don't know. I don't know what to
So,
expect.
so you want to know what? Do like you and me? We talk a lot of the time about on and off camera about Stevie Wonder's run of
Hmm.
like music when he was like in his prime and viable. In his prime, for most people, and I think you would agree, is pretty much like everything from about 69 to 81, right? 69 to 81. It's
Yeah.
fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Right. So a lot of what people forget is that no, like Stevie was still dropping material after that, but when you've been part of the consciousness of our culture for so long, and when you've released but so many projects, you kind of get slid somewhere else, if that makes sense. And
And
so
new
what I would
people
say
come
with Snoop,
along and yeah, and they have their run, their prime, and your prime is, previous.
and,
Yeah.
and it's just right, and it's just the way that it goes. Because I can remember my mom had like a Stevie Wonder tape, Faces. You remember Faces, Mike? It got
Yeah.
released like 91, 92. Like I love that record, but it wasn't until I was older and I went back to the stuff. It's like, oh, wasn't nobody checking for Stevie like that in '92. He had his run.
Yeah.
You can be a real fan or love a record that he made to really go get it because here's what you have. You have the heart of his catalog already sitting at your house. You're more likely to run out to see him live than to go buy his album. And that's what's really happened to Snoop. And I mean that in a way that it should happen for an icon.
Well, I think that he understands that and he embraces that because when he does a versus or he does his concerts, and that's one of the reasons why I'm really looking forward to his Super Bowl halftime performance, he knows what the people want to hear. I mean, he's a DJ too. So when he goes out there, he's not going to hit you over the head with, this is my new stuff, try to, what I'm saying, sell you on that. He going to hit you with the Snoop Dogg classics. And I think it's something to be said about an artist that really embraces their classic material because not
Right.
enough artists do that.
And so this is what I mean. He is an icon to the point now where it's like, well, him releasing a project isn't gonna garner the fanfare that it used to. But if he come into your town, he about to pack the stadium.
Honcho
That's
Black said, I guess he's responding to your Stevie Wonder analogy. He said, except if you're Jay Z, forever young, 100. You know what? Jay Z hadn't dropped Jay Z esque material since 2009. Let's be perfectly
you
honest.
better not. You need not be talking that way while Nas is walking around with King's Disease 2 and Death Row East. What are you talking about?
You really
Bring
love Death Row East.
I'm gonna keep on bringing up Death Row East. Jay don't because Mike, that's the type of record I know Jay don't have shit for at this point in his career. That's why I'm gonna keep on bringing it up.
Listen, man, Jay-Z's about to surprise you, man. He about to drop
You
the
don't have
the
no Death Row
blueprint, the
East.
blueprint 4 on y'all niggas, man.
You don't have no Death Row East.
Well, if what he had on that soundtrack is a precursor of what we're about to hear, man, you can kind of keep it, man.
That's
But
Death Row East. It's not Death Row East. That's Death Row Least. Least.
I
L
will
for
say though, man, like I said in our previous episode, I think his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame speech has me interested in some new Jay Z material. So I think he can do it, but at this point, I don't think we can really brag on the fact that Jay Z is like quote unquote still in his prime because again, Empire State of Mind, Run This Town, and DOA are 12 years old now, going
He worked
on,
for them people, Mike.
huh?
He worked for them people.
It is what it is. Now I will give it to Nas. Nas dropped some very, very quality material. With King's Disease too, and we just got through talking about the fact that we think it's album of the year for 2021. So,
Yes.
but
Yeah, it's clearly album of the year right now.
but back
Oh,
to
you know
Snoop
another
though.
person who didn't drop this year that was supposed to drop too, Mike? That's like kind of like affecting this year, Gibbs, Mike. That's what I'm saying. It's like we didn't get that second Conway album, we didn't get the Gibbs album, we didn't get the Kendrick album, we didn't get the Pusha album.
Yeah,
Like that's big. I was listening to Bandana today. You know, Bandana's not that far off Alfredo. It just doesn't come together beautifully the way Alfredo does. But he's got moments on there that are just as strong as Alfredo. It's just not the end to end.
yeah. Gibbs done, man. He has carved himself out a pretty nice career.
I love
Um,
Gibbs.
what I was
Gibbs.
gonna say about Snoop, man, it's like again, new music for Snoop Dogg really isn't even necessary. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's one of those people, he's here anyway. And I
But
don't even
he
know what to expect from new Snoop
He
Dogg
said
material.
but Michael, but who he is what I heard him say this some years ago. He was like, I'm Snoop Dogg. He was like, I can get up off the couch and go tour and go make $1 million in a week.
He can do that.
When he said it, I was like, yep,
I
he
think Snoop
can.
Dogg is possibly the most famous rapper in the world.
Mike, I mean, like, I'm showing up just to hear Murder Was the Case live. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, like, because he know what to do. Because I know he performed in Murder Was the Case live. And I know because I've been to one of Snoop's concerts. And,
Yeah,
like,
man.
seen him. And he's actually a great live performer, too. I think that's one of the things that gets understated about Snoop. Like, no, Snoop brings energy, brings atmosphere, brings set. And you never know. And he's so big and has collaborated with so many homies. You never know who's coming out bad. Like,
I
you don't
mean,
know
and
if
he's
Dad's
Snoop
coming
Dogg.
out, Corral,
Right.
Snoop, Dre. For real, you don't know who coming out with Snoop performing too, because he got shit with everybody.
Yeah, Leo Manning says Snoop is an ambassador for hip hop, and he is.
Yes.
He's a staple. And
So I bought up. So let's go to the ambassador thing. I bought up the Stevie Wonder point because we need to be more in the habit of treating our legends in this genre the way that other legends get treated in other genres. So we need to be treating Snoop the way Stevie Wonder gets treated, the way Paul McCartney gets treated, because he deserves it. We gotta start handling that.
yeah,
So it's like, no, we don't need to check for Snoop because he's Snoop. Everything he do real big. He's an ambassador, like Fam said.
yeah.
Everything real big.
I'm looking forward to hearing the album, though, man, just to see what we can get there. But I think Snoop is one of those few MCs too where he doesn't have to be at his lyrical sharpest to give us quality material.
Well, he was never really that for me anyway, Mike. He's actually an outlier for me in terms of like one of the few MCs that like I love and hold in high regard. It's not really like what you would call like a supreme MC is like a lyricist. It's Snoop, Mike. Like it's like I grew up on him. It's like nigga, I didn't even understand what he was saying on Dre Day when Dre Day came out. I just knew the beat was hard. He sounded great. That was Snoop.
Definitely. All right, well, you know what? I think that's pretty much everything we covered, man. We like 2 hours in, man. Great discussion.
Like we always do about this time.
Like we always do about this time, man. Y'all enjoy your weekend. Make sure y'all go check for accordingtohiphop.com. Go subscribe to the channel, the According to Hip Hop channel on YouTube. Click the bell icon for the notifications so you know when we go live. What were you about to say?
No, click.
Yeah. Tell a friend, and you know what I'm saying? We can have these discussions even more. I don't know what's coming up next week, but I would imagine that French Montana and Stoop are going to drop it sometime because neither one of them dropped today.
Where's Pusha T's album at?
You know what? That's another thing that happened. Pusha T and Malice, they just lost their mother this week, so condolences to that
Huh?
family too. So
Really?
yeah. His mother passed away. I want to say he posted about that 2 days ago. So
Okay.
yeah, no, probably
Condolences.
we might get something, we might not. You know what I mean? Like that's life changing stuff. So
Yeah, condolences. I didn't know. Been off the
yeah.
grid. You know how I be rolling sometime.
Nah, definitely. I should have brought that up at the top of the show. But yeah, we'll see what happens next week. We'll see if anybody drops anything. But I think at this point, man, we're closing the book on 2021 and its hip hop releases. We know that Rick Ross has a date coming out, but we'll be waiting to see what the track list looks like for that. But that's December. So
It is. I've already started making my list and stuff. I got some tentative lists. You want to know what? This hasn't been a great year for rhymes, Mike. I will say that.
mm-hmm.
Last year was much easier to pull top 20 verse of the year stuff from than I'm finding this year. You know?
Mm.
It just is, because also too, that's what I was saying too. It's like, well, Nas and AZ got a lot of verse of the year stuff, but I'm not about to flood it with Nas and AZ either. Like,
Mm.
it's not like that either. So I'm gonna have to go do some more digging, go back and listen to some projects and see who really snapped. Like last year, the verses were so clear when somebody snapped. Like Stove on Jose Canseco. Like when Stove went on
Yeah.
Jose Canseco, I was like, yeah, that's one of the 20 best verses this year. I'm not getting, because I knew when I heard it, it's like, I'm getting 20 better verses than that this year. I'm going to put that on the list. I can mark it down. This year is different, Mike. There's probably only been about 5 or 6 verses this year that I could mark down. It's like, that's clear.
I don't know. We'll go back and listen to the Ransom album. Mickey and Blue dropped their album. Obviously, Love the Genius. And what was another one I was thinking about? That Rosenberg project that came out earlier this year. There was
No,
some
I just
stuff
went
on
back and
there.
listened to the Rosenberg Project. There's no top 20 verse on there.
Mm.
If there is, that if I end up pulling a verse from there, it's a down year for lyrics.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the list. And I look forward to talking to y'all next week.
Even this, Mike. So let me